Are we set? Great. Mike Balboni, I am the.
Who are you again?
For the third time, for the fourth time. I'm Balboni, and I'm the guy chairing the committee on cyber and physical security. We want to welcome the committee members who've joined us. Jessica Candry, Chairman Comel, Tracy McGibbon, Dennis Turner, and new for the first time here, and you're going to become official the next meeting. I'd like to welcome B. Gonzalez, who's sitting with us today. Also want to welcome the NYPA staff, the terrific NYPA staff who worked so hard on this committee. And we wanted to state that this is a scheduled meeting, which has been duly noticed pursuant to the Opens Meeting Law. And I'd like to call this meeting to order pursuant to Section V4 of the Cyber and Physical Security Committee Charter. We'd like to begin the meeting by an adoption of the agenda. And I want to ask if any of the committee members have any additions or deletions or amendments to the agenda.
So moved.
If not, I'd like to ask for a motion.
I just gave it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 No opposed. So the next portion of the meeting, as our custom and practice, will be held in executive session, and the meeting will resume in approximately 30 minutes. I'd like to ask for a motion to conduct the executive session pursuant to the Public Officers Law of the State of New York, Section 105, to discuss matters regarding public safety and security.
So moved.
Second. All
Aye.
in favor? Aye. We now enter into executive session. Thank you. Good session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we are back in open session. There were no votes taken during executive session. And I'd like to ask Eric Myers, the VP and Chief Information Security Officer, to present an item.
Morning, everyone. Thank you. Just want to provide a quick update on our cybersecurity program. If you'd move to the next slide, please. Next slide. Again, we've come and talked to you in the past about the state of our program and the principles upon which it's based, including things like zero trust, which are starting to gain additional attention in the media, given the recent stream of high-profile attacks. So we've continued to optimize our program. One of the things that we've done since we last came to you is we completed a reorganization of our cybersecurity organization to provide some increased focus and enhanced capabilities, as well as some process optimizations. We recognize that this challenge is something we cannot tackle alone. Though cybersecurity is a team sport, and you can see we've got a list on the bottom of the slide here of our various relationships where we are sharing threat intelligence, best practices, and so forth on a near real-time basis. So whenever these incidents hit us in the media or become known to us, we're already on top of them through these relationships. We actually just bolstered these partnerships with a recently announced agreement with the Army Cyber Institute out of West Point that's going to enable us to build some additional capabilities and expertise within our team. So let's just shift for a moment and talk a little bit about the threat landscape and how it's evolved. Move to the next slide. We have seen a nearly endless stream of these types of high-profile cyber incidents. Ransomware attacks, vulnerabilities that are attacking multiple service providers. And unfortunately, this slide is already out of date if we consider some of the things that were just announced last week from Microsoft. So the bottom line here is that these types of events are not going to end. Our cyber adversaries understand that targeting these major platforms acts like a force multiplier for them, enabling them to get into multiple organizations. The good news coming out of all of these things is that NYPA has not been impacted by any of these things. So we continue to update our capabilities, again, partner with our industry, state, and federal partners. And I'm hopeful that, I think if we look at what's happening in the media, the attention that this has garnered at the federal level, I think even though this is very disruptive to many of the organizations that are involved, the additional focus that's now being placed on cybersecurity across all organizations, getting the basics in place. When you think about what was in the federal executive order, things like zero trust, multi-factor authentication, and so forth, that's going to raise the overall level of cyber resilience for every organization across the country. So, any questions?
So go ahead. B.
It just seems missing to me is the international component because we have facilities on the borders.
So there are no borders in the cybersecurity space, unfortunately. The path of electrons can flow anywhere. And so so our technologies and our tools that we deploy are looking for behavioral anomalies wherever they originate.
So, one of the challenges, of course, that people have said is that how are we expected within New York State to be able to respond to international threats? I mean, a lot of these attacks come from obviously within Southeast Asia or Eastern Europe. So how are we supposed to do that? That's what Eric has talked about. The best line is that cyber security is a team sport. These guys in NYPA are doing the best practices. They are collaborating with other agencies to provide threat intelligence, best practices in terms of defenses, and then sharing. So this is how we collaborate on this. So like you said, it's a team sport, and that's we can't do this on our own because the threats are too myriad and too constant.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Right. I'm going to turn over to Larry Mallory, who's going to give us an update on the physical security program.
There are no votes needed for your presentation.
No votes needed.
Thank you. Now, Larry Merrill.
I fully
Mallory.
support cyber nonetheless.
I'm sorry.
I don't need a motion. I just want-
It's
fully
taken an
support
executive session.
And Larry Mallory on physical security report. Thank you, Larry.
Good morning. I just have one slide today to review some things with you, and actually it's a great lead-in because physical security, like cybersecurity, is also a team sport. So just a quick highlight on some of the external partnerships and activities that have happened recently. One of them is from our New York State partners in the Office of Counterterrorism, who have completed a site visit at the Zeltman Power Project. This is in support of their requirement to generate a report on the state of utility security. It happens every few years, and that Zeltman site visit was the last of the NYPA sites. So they visited all the NYPA sites, and that helps us in that we get their eyes on our people, process, and technologies. So their expertise on our systems, their expertise, their feedback, their testing. And that program encompasses physical security, cybersecurity, operations technology, and crisis management. So a lot of the things that are near and dear to the resilience program. That report is expected to be published middle of next year. So we're looking forward to that. We also received a briefing from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. That was both NYPA and Canal specific, took place in our Clark facility. So we're embedding the canals into all of our security, crisis management, and I would say cybersecurity processes as well. Again, federal DHS partners put their eyes on some of our plans, policies, procedures, provided us feedback, provided us positive feedback and then opportunities for growth. So we are always happy to sort of take that, add it to our own expertise and help the program grow. And then we spent a lot of time with our partners at the NPCC, Northeast Power Coordinating Council. That's a North American group, so encompasses part of Canada. So your border question, I would offer you that we're in collaboration or in partnership with them. We had a presentation from the American Gas Association on their security. So best practices shared across sectors, and a large conversation about design basis threat process and our COVID response. So where we were able to sort of benchmark our COVID response at NYPA, which I would say was excellent against our industry peers. Thank you.
Would you just explain what just quickly the design basis threat evaluation of a site?
So basically, you're not going to be surprised by it, right? There's a finite amount of resources that we can put into protecting a site. So the design basis threat is an idea of looking at the site sort of holistically, right? What are the threats? What are the landscapes? And then what are the capabilities for your bad adversary? So, protecting against, a 5-man team that is able to carry 50 pounds of explosives and get into the facility unmanned is a lot different than protecting against your insider threat. So it's a systematic and formulated approach to look at and basically rank the threats of your facility and be able to appropriately deploy your protections against those threats. So we use that on both the regulatory side. For FERC and NERC, we are required to do threat and vulnerability assessments for a number of sites, but we also do that on the sites we're not required to. So basically a way of making sure that we've aligned the program to the threats, the most perceived threats, the most likely threat.
Prioritizing resources, and as Clausewitz once said, if you try to protect everything, you protect nothing. And so this is the basis between the design basis.
Trying to find the balance too. What's the right? I mean, we could protect everything and then do nothing, right? We could have we could be 100% protected and, so it's,
Not operational.
right. It's finding that right balance.
It's similar to what you do in any other kind of assessments, like risk-based.
Yeah.
Looking at, the severity of the impact if something happens and actually.
It's risk-based considering the capabilities of the adversary, considering what you're protecting against.
Very good. Thank you very much. Larry.
Okay, thank you.
No votes necessary for this report. Trustee McGibbon has raised a concern as to, well, not a concern, but a request as to whether or not we can all get together
Yes.
and look at a tabletop exercise. So I'd like to direct the staff if we can get opportunities for the board members to participate in I think resiliency, recovery, the things you want to look at.
Exactly, just so we can see how NYPA responds in any kind of an incident that relates to a cyber threat. So,
How often do they do that? Tabletop exercise?
Well, it depends on the agency, right? But usually biannual.
Well, we have a drill and exercise program. NYPA does over 40 drill and exercises per year. It's a track metric. So
I mean, I was just, we don't all have to do it at the same time. That's all I'm saying.
But I mean, a specific tabletop exercise. I think that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
we are working on an executive level ransomware tabletop exercise. So there might be an opportunity to follow you to that. We can talk about what's the best way to do that.
Terrific.
Good.
I think that'd be a really good idea. Because ransomware does seem to be the attack du jour. It will always evolve, but that's really what everybody's focusing on now, especially the White House. The next joint cyber and physical security committee meeting is to be determined. At this point, I'd like to ask for a motion to close the meeting.
Consent agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I stepped over. Can we do can we have a adoption of the meeting minutes for the Cyber and Physical Security Committee held on January 26, 2021? And I know you've all looked at this.
It's included in our
Memorized.
consent agenda.
I'm
So
sorry.
it's included in our consent agenda.
I move to
So
adopt the.
moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's been adopted. Now, can I please have a motion to close the meeting?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 This meeting has been concluded. Thank you very much.